A 57-year-old woman in Lakeland, Florida found out she was losing her home through a letter from a stranger. Not her bank, not her lender, a foreclosure attorney. Her lender never even picked up the phone. Last year, that happened to 367,000 American families, a 14% surge from the year before. In Florida alone, 1 in every 230 homes is now in some stage of foreclosure. And the government's official position? This is normalization. But here's what they're not telling you. A research firm called First Street just projected that foreclosures across the United States could surge by 380% over the next decade. Not because of a recession, because of a single financial pressure that is about to hit 68 million homeowners at the same time. And almost nobody is prepared for it. The exposed cracks in this housing market are far deeper than the headlines suggest. And the data tells a very different story than the one Wall Street wants you to believe. Let's start with what just happened a week ago. On February 12th, the Mortgage Bankers Association released their Q4 2025 National Delinquency Survey, and the numbers are alarming. The overall mortgage delinquency rate climbed to 4.26%, up 27 basis points in a single quarter. That's the sharpest quarterly jump we've seen in years. Foreclosure inventory rose to 0.53% of all loans, up 8 basis points from a year ago. But the real story isn't the overall number, it's what's hiding inside it. FHA loans, the loans designed to help first-time buyers and lower-income families get into homes, just hit a delinquency rate of 11.52%. That's the highest level since the second quarter of 2021. Let that sink in. More than 1 in 10 FHA borrowers is now behind on their mortgage. And it gets worse. The FHA seriously delinquent rate, meaning 90 or more days behind or already in foreclosure, surged by 106 basis points in a single quarter. Year over year, it's up a full percentage point. Here's what makes this so dangerous. FHA loans make up less than 15% of all active mortgages. But according to Intercontinental Exchange data, FHA borrowers accounted for 90% of the entire year-over-year increase in delinquencies. 90%. That means the foreclosure crisis isn't spreading evenly. It's targeting the most vulnerable homeowners in America, the ones who could barely afford to buy in the first place. The MBA's own Vice President of Industry Analysis, Marina Walsh, pointed directly to the cause. She cited a softer labor market, rising personal debt, increasing taxes, climbing homeowners insurance, and higher fees, all compounding on borrowers who were already stretched to their limit. And if you're thinking, well, at least conventional loans are holding steady, they're not. Conventional delinquencies jumped 27 basis points in Q4 alone. VA loans rose too. Every category moved in the wrong direction at the same time. But this is where it gets really dangerous. Real quick, if this market intel is helping you make better decisions, hit that notification bell. We drop new housing data every week, and the viewers who catch it first get the best opportunities. The bell ensures you see everything immediately, not days later when the market's already moved. Remember that single financial pressure I mentioned at the top? The one that could push foreclosures up by 380%? It's insurance. Not interest rates, not unemployment, insurance. First Street Research, a risk modeling firm that provides climate and financial data to the federal government, published a projection that foreclosure rates could increase by roughly 1% for every 1% increase in insurance costs. And when they modeled the trajectory of climate risk, flooding, wind damage, and wildfire exposure over the next decade, they arrived at a 380% increase in foreclosures nationwide. And nowhere is this more visible right now than Florida. The average annual homeowner's insurance premium in Florida is now $3,815. And that's the good news. That figure is actually slowing down from the double-digit annual increases homeowners were hit with in 2022, 23, and 24. And here's the part that nobody's talking about. An estimated 15 to 20% of Florida homeowners have dropped their insurance entirely. They just can't afford it. Think about what that means. There are homeowners walking around with no safety net. One hurricane, one flood, one sinkhole, and they lose everything, including any ability to keep paying their mortgage. And Florida's condo market is even more dire. After the Surfside building collapse in 2021, the state cracked down on building safety standards. That was the right call, but the consequence has been a wave of special assessments, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, hitting condo owners who were already struggling with rising HOA fees, insurance premiums, and property taxes all at once. This is why Florida has become ground zero. It's not just about home prices softening, it's about the total cost of owning a home becoming unsustainable for a growing number of families. The median sale price in Florida is down year over year. Homes are sitting on the market for 73 days on average, nearly double what stable markets like New Jersey and Virginia are seeing. And in cities like Lakeland, Jacksonville, and Orlando, foreclosure concentrations are among the highest in the entire country. But if you think this is just a Florida problem, stay with me because it's not. Here's what 2008 taught us. Foreclosure waves don't stay local, they radiate outward. Last year,
The little pill with a big story to tell.
Hot. Jardiance plays a role in my story, too. I have type 2 diabetes.
Last year, Adams data showed that while Florida led the nation with the highest foreclosure rate, it wasn't alone. South Carolina, Delaware, Illinois, and Nevada all posted alarmingly high rates. At the metro level, cities like Columbia, South Carolina, and Cleveland, Ohio joined Sunbelt hotspots in the top rankings. And the Q4 delinquency data reveals the next wave is already forming. The 5 states with the largest quarterly increases in delinquency rates were Mississippi, Louisiana, Maryland, Oklahoma, and Indiana. Notice something? That's not just the Sunbelt anymore. It's spreading into the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Midwest. The states driving inventory surges tell a similar story. As of January 2026, 9 states now have active housing inventory above pre-pandemic 2019 levels. Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Idaho, Nebraska, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Washington. Those are the markets where supply is piling up, prices are softening, and homeowners are losing the equity cushion that was supposed to protect them. In Austin, Texas, there are now 128% more home sellers than buyers. In Fort Lauderdale, it's 125%. Nashville, 111%. Miami, 103%. These aren't markets that are cooling. These are markets where the balance has flipped completely. And here's the detail that should concern every homeowner watching this. The loans performing the worst right now aren't from 2008. They're from 2022 and 23. The MBA specifically noted that FHA loans originated in those years, when mortgage rates surged and affordability was at its most stretched, are performing significantly worse than loans from 2020 and 21. That means the damage was baked in at origination. These borrowers locked in at the worst possible moment. High rates, elevated prices, minimal equity. And now, as the labor market softens and costs keep climbing, they're the first ones falling behind. Let me be clear about something. We are not in 2008. Not yet, and the structure of this crisis is fundamentally different. In 2008, we had 3.1 million foreclosure filings in a single year. We had 13 months of housing supply. We had liar loans, no doc mortgages, and an entire financial system built on toxic assets. That's not where we are today. Current foreclosure numbers, 367,000, are a fraction of that peak. Housing supply nationally is at 4.4 months, well below the 6-month balanced market threshold. Most homeowners have record equity. Lending standards are stricter. So why should you still be concerned? Because in 2008, the crisis was caused by the financial system. Banks were lending recklessly, packaging bad debt and selling it as gold. When the system collapsed, homeowners were collateral damage. This time, the system isn't broken, the homeowners are. The pressure isn't coming from Wall Street, it's coming from everywhere at once. Insurance premiums, property taxes, HOA fees, condo assessments, inflation on groceries and gas, and a labor market that added just 42,000 private sector jobs in 1 month last year, far below historical expectations. Variable rate mortgages are hitting their reset periods at elevated interest rates, meaning some homeowners are watching their monthly payments jump by hundreds of dollars overnight. And here's the part that makes this structurally different from 2008 in a way that's actually more dangerous for certain homeowners. The distressed inventory is being hidden. Unlike 2008, when millions of foreclosed homes flooded the open market and crashed prices, institutions like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are now bundling non-performing and reperforming loans and selling them directly to investors. That inventory never hits the MLS. It never shows up in the housing data you see on Zillow or Realtor.com. So the official numbers look manageable, but underneath, the stress is building, and the families experiencing it are being processed quietly out of public view. Adam's CEO called this normalization. The MBA called it a return to historical averages. But for the 57-year-old woman in Lakeland who found out she was losing her home from a stranger's letter, there's nothing normal about this. So where does this leave you? If you're a homeowner, especially in the Sun Belt, the most important thing you could do right now is understand your total cost of ownership. Not just your mortgage, your insurance, your property taxes, your HOA fees, your maintenance, all that, because foreclosures in 2026 aren't being driven by people who bought homes they couldn't afford. They're being driven by people whose homes became more expensive to own after they bought them. If you're an investor, pay attention to which markets have flipped to buyer territory. Austin, Fort Lauderdale, Nashville, Miami, San Antonio. These are markets where inventory is piling up and distressed opportunities are beginning to surface. But the window is narrow because institutional buyers are scooping up non-performing loan bundles before those properties even reach the open market. If you're a renter waiting for the crash to buy, understand this: nationally, home prices are not collapsing. JP Morgan projects 0% price growth in 2026. Redfin projects 1% growth. The crash, if it happens, will be regional, concentrated in overbuilt Sunbelt markets, not a national event. And the conditions that would trigger a 2008-style collapse, mass toxic lending, unregulated securitization, 13 months of supply, simply don't exist right now. But what does exist is a slow-moving squeeze on American homeowners that is accelerating quarter by quarter. The FHA delinquency rate just hit its highest level in nearly 4 years. Foreclosure filings are climbing for the 6th straight month, and the insurance cost trajectory that First Street modeled, the one pointing to a 380% increase in foreclosures, hasn't even begun to fully materialize yet. 367,000 homes were seized last year. The institutions are calling it normalization. The data says otherwise. The question isn't whether the cracks are forming. They already have. The question is whether the people who need to see this information, homeowners, buyers, investors, are paying attention before the next wave hits. If this changed how you think about the housing market, share this with someone who needs to see it. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button, because the data we're tracking next is going to show you exactly which cities are most at risk heading into the second half of 2026. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe, share, and watch this one as well. We'll see you next time.